Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kemi, and I'm here to talk about Real Housewives of Rhode Island, Season 1, Episode 6. Now, before we begin, make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and turning on your post notifications so you'll know whenever I post. All right, so we start the episode off with Kelsey texting Liz, Alicia, and Joe Ellen that that her and her boyfriend broke up and she's moving out. So we see Liz calling her to check on her. She says in her confessional that it wasn't one thing that led to the breakup. It was just a buildup of things, and just when she thought it couldn't get worse, it did. So she said even though her relationship was unconventional, and at the beginning it was just one person that she knew of, as the years went on, she found out that there were more people. Liz tells her that she's proud of her, and asks if they left on bad terms. She says they were in bed and she told him that she thinks the relationship ran its course. And he tells her that she's making the right decision and didn't fight it at all. So they fell asleep and woke up the next morning, and that was it. So Liz tells her that that told her all she needed to know. So Liz tells her this is the beginning of the rest of her life, um, and Kelsey asks her if she can come help her go through her things because she needs to find a place to live. So we see Rosie. She is at home. She's packing for the trip because they're about to go to Newport, to a Newport mansion. Um, because I think at the polo event that Liz and Alicia had invited them to go or whatever. So she's packing to go for the trip, and she's feeling good about being around all the ladies. She feels like she's in a good place with them now, and she has to work. And now she just has to work on getting good with Kelsey. She doesn't want to fight with them anymore, and her husband gives her advice, and she says that she's shy and awkward or whatever. So we see Joe Ellen. She is meeting her sister at a plate at like a clothing store. So they're shopping for they're shopping. I mean, not they are, but yeah, they are. Yeah, they're shopping for what's his like Joe Ellen. I'm sorry. They're shopping for Joe Ellen to go on this trip or whatever. So they talk about losing their grandpa, and then she talks about how her and Jen grew up different. She always felt like Jen was the favorite child, and how she didn't have a good relationship with her mom. She wanted her mother's love growing up, but her mom kept pushing her away. Jen doesn't expect their mom to change because that's who she is. Joe Ellen says she's just distanced herself. She doesn't expect her to change either. She's just distanced herself from her, and she doesn't know how to forgive her for her childhood. She says her friends and her husband are her source of love and affection since she didn't have that growing up. Jen tells her, Jen tells her to tell their mom how she feels, and how she wants their relationship to be in the future. She says she's told her mom that, but her mom won't take responsibility for her actions, and she will place all the blame on Joe Ellen. Jen tells her that she's proud of her for stopping the cycle with her kids. So we see Kelsey. She is at home packing, and Liz is there. She's scared because she's never lived by herself before. When she was living with her parents before she moved in with her boyfriend. And she went from their house to his house, and now she's taking that next step. So Liz gives her advice, and then Liz says in her confessional she knows that she's known Kelsey's boyfriend since high school, but her new man has the same goals as Kelsey. So Liz, why I keep saying that? Liz gives her a compass, and it has like an inscription on it or whatever. It was really nice. Kelsey is stressed because now she has to be an adult. So the day of the trip, we see Liz and Alicia. Um, sorry, we see, yeah, the day of the trip, we see Liz got everyone vintage Rolls Royce to take them to Newport. They ask about Rula and see if she's going to come because she's not there at the moment. So they get to the mansion, which was a castle. So we see Liz and Alicia. They're in one car. Alicia's asking Liz how Kelsey is doing. Liz says she'll be okay. They call Rula since they haven't talked to her since Polo, but she isn't answering. We see Kelsey and Joe Ellen in one car, and Kelsey's talking about how she needed this, and then Ashley and Rosie are in another car, but we don't see them because apparently they didn't have anything to talk about. So they get to the house. It's a beautiful house. It's a 43,000 square feet, 18 bedrooms, 18 bathrooms, 29 bedrooms. They have butlers there to help them for the 2 days that they're going to be there. Um, Liz and Alicia go and pick their room. Then the other ladies show up and then they choose their rooms. Kelsey says she's going to choose a room far away from Rosie. Alicia tells them that they're going to have a themed doll tea party for in a little bit, like in the next for they're going to do it like a tea party lunch or something like that. Yeah, I think it's lunch. So she brought some dolls with her, and I'm just like, girl, these dolls, but okay. So we see Joe Ellen and Kelsey are talking about her breakup and what they talk about her breakup and what's next for her. So then we see the ladies come out for the tea party, and first it was Alicia came out first because she set everything up. Then Rosie and Ashley come out and they're sitting in the little carriage because there's like a horse and not a horse, but they have the carriage part. So they're sitting in there talking. Then we see Joe Ellen, not Alicia, Joe Ellen, Liz, and Kelsey coming out, and Rosie is just like, "Ooh, I like Joe Ellen's outfit," and then Joe Ellen trips. Not Joe Ellen. I'm sorry. She likes Liz's outfit, and then Liz falls. So she gets back up. They get to the girls, and Joellen tells Rosie that she looks like a stripper. And Rosie's just like, well, that's what I was going for, I guess. And Joellen in her confessional says, um, she should have just said you don't look good. And I was just like, or you could have just not said anything at all. Because you didn't say anything to Alicia or Ashley. So why would you even say anything to Rosie? You should have just been like, "Oh, hey ladies," and kept it chucking. You just had to be mean to Rosie. And that's that mean girl ish that I don't like about her. So um Alicia tells them the history of dolls, which I don't think is true. What she was saying, she tells them all to grab a doll because she was saying that each when the girls grabs a doll, she'll know what type of person they are based on the doll that they pick or whatever. So they each grab a doll, and Joellen asks if Rula's coming and if they called her, and then she says it's rude for her not to show up. And I'm just like, leave that lady alone. At this point, you don't like her. It's clear that you don't like her. So just leave it alone. You ain't got to say nothing else about it. Just quit talking about her. But I guess. So Rula says not Rula, but Alicia says she doesn't think Rula believes her husband, and no, she says she thinks that Rula believes her husband and they're going to work on it, on their marriage, and she doesn't want to hear about it anymore. That's where I'm at, because it's just like, if the lady is not, if you keep telling her stuff and she keeps telling you she doesn't believe you, at what point do you say, you know what, if you don't believe me, cool, if it happens, it happens, and it is what it is. But Joellen keeps wanting to let it be known that she's right. And it's just like, girl, just leave it alone. But she won't leave it alone. So um Joe Ellen says she needs to stop blaming her. She's just trying to be there and have her back. And it's just like, you're not really, because she's already told you to leave it alone, but you have alerts set up for that girl, and you keep bringing that ish to other people. So, and then Liz says maybe she questions your motives, and Joe Ellen says, well, what would my motives be? It's not like I want her husband. And Joe tells the lady she feels bad, and they should all feel bad. And Liz says, but do you really feel bad? And Joe Ellen was just like, yeah. And Liz was like, she doesn't think she feels bad. um Alicia says no one needs to keep reminding her about it anymore, and it's done. And Joellen says, but she thinks it's from a year ago. And Alicia's just like, it's done, which again, it's done. Just let it be. Um, Kelsey says, let's save this for when Rula is here. Um, yeah, let's say this for when Rula is here. And I say in my notes, and this is why she doesn't come around, because y'all just want to y'all just talk about it, and she ain't gonna leave her husband. So why do y'all keep bothering with it? Liz then tells them they're gonna have a black tie event, and she will see them all at dinner. So we see Joellen. She calls her husband. Yeah, we see Joellen. She's calling her husband just to check on them. We see Alicia looking for treasure with her metal detector. And I was just like, girl, I'm not about to play with you. So then we see Liz. She has masks delivered to all of the ladies, and each mask is different. And she hopes everyone revealing themselves that night will bring them closer. So for Rosie's mask, it's larger than for Rosie. This is what Liz is saying. She's saying Rosie, she gets this mask because she has a larger than life facade, but she thinks it she but she feels like there's much more to the story. There's something deeper there. She gives a mask to Ashley, and she thinks that she's subdued, and she doesn't like she's just there, whatever. So then she gives a mask to Joe, and she says she's the jester. She gives a mask to Kelsey, and she says people see the dark the closed off side of her, um but she there's a brighter side to her. We see Alicia, and she says she puts out to the world that everything is great, but there's the other side of her that's not perfect. So they all get their notes, and then they have the mask, and telling them what the purpose of the mask is. Liz's mask is a big bad wolf. She says they see her as a big bad wolf, but she's crazy sensitive. She's not the wolf in sheep's clothing. She's a sheep in wolf's clothing. So they get to the dinner, and um, yeah, they get to the dinner, and they do their mask reveal. So Joellen goes first. She talks about her mom sending her to behavior camp, and she's not trying to be like her mom. Liz asks if she thinks she hurts people as well. Joe says she doesn't start it, she continues it, and it's a really bad trait for her. She doesn't want to be betrayed. And when someone makes her out to be a liar, she has to prove them wrong. She has to prove them wrong since she didn't as a kid. And I was just like, okay, at least you know it, but they don't always start with you because you started with Rula and you keep continuing with Rula, but whatever. Um, then Liz goes, and she's afraid she will lose them. And it stems from having so much loss she's afraid of losing people and it stems from having so much loss as a kid. She lost her mom. She lost her mom at an early age. When her mom got sick, she was 12 years old, and then she passed away when she was 15, and she has a lot of abandonment issues. She's not big and scary. She's more afraid of them than they are of her. So then Ashley talks, and she literally says a bunch of nothing and cries. And it was just like, girl, what? It didn't make no sense. So we see Rosie. She says she has really bad anxiety and she's shy. When she's being bigger, it's more for TV and IG stuff. She learned how to pretend and be bigger and what everybody wanted and what everybody wants her to be. Growing up, she used to do whatever her mom said to make her happy. Um just do it and make everyone happy. And she feels selfish now choosing herself and she's working on it. Kelsey asks, you don't think people want to see the genuine side? And Rosie says she has to get comfortable and then she'll open up more. So Kelsey does hers, and as everyone is like, they do their piece, they take off their mask or whatever. So Kelsey says hers, she has a tough exterior, and it comes from her relationship. She's super sensitive. Alicia asks her how she's doing after the breakup, and Ashley and Rosie didn't know about it or whatever. She says she's hanging in there. She'll get through it. It was at a standstill with her ex. It was 10 years, and so many more. 10 years. So how many more? No, she said it was 10 years. So how many more years was she going to be doing the same thing? Rosie, again in her confessional, says she didn't know she broke up with her sugar daddy, and last she heard she was dating numerous people. So Joe asks Kelsey how she thinks Bill is different than her ex, and she says they have the same wants. Ashley asks if she still talks to her ex as friends, and she says yeah, they have a good relationship. They have a lot of things that still connect them, and he's still paying for stuff. They ask what he's paying for: her car insurance, her health insurance, and he'll pay her rent until she gets on her feet, and she's taking what she's entitled to. If she was married, she would be walking away with much more. Someone asked, why does he do it? And she says it's the least that he can do. I'm not sure who, I can't remember if they saw who asked it, and I don't know the voices yet. I can't distinguish between the voices at this moment. The only ones that I know is different is Liz and Alicia's, because their voices are so distinct. But the others, they all sound the same sometimes. Sometimes I can tell Rosie's, but for the most part, they all really sound the same to me. Um, she Someone asked why she does it, and she says it's the least he can do. And Rosie's in her confessional says, so he's no longer a real sugar daddy, so she says now he's really your sugar daddy, and at least before you could pretend he was your boyfriend. I was just like, girl, leave that lady alone. So we see Alicia. She says she's seen a lot of dark things that no kid should ever see. Her life wasn't easy. Her father left them homeless. She moved around a lot. And Liz says she was never homeless. And she's just like, you were never homeless. You went and lived with your mom. Um, she says, Alicia says he left us and took their house when she was a child. Liz says in her confessional, you come from a big family. You live with your grandparents who had a nice place. Alicia saying in her confessional, um, Liz is trying to protect her family, but don't diminish what she's been through. Yeah, she lived with her mom, but she lived with her grandparents, but she shared a room with her mom. And after a while, she felt like she had no home. Liz thanks them for the night. Liz thanks them for the night, and Kelsey tells Rosie. Okay, so yeah, so Liz thanks them for being open that night or whatever, and then Kelsey says, Rosie, this was the first genuine thing that came out of your mouth, and for a second there, I thought you were telling the truth. And I'm saying this in a nice way and not a mean way. And I was just like, if you have to say that, then that means that you were saying it in a mean way. Sorry. Rosie Rosie asked, well, what am I not telling the truth about? And Kelsey says, I'm actually trying to give you a compliment. But she asked you, what was she not telling the truth about? So why didn't you just tell her what you thought she wasn't telling the truth about? You quickly went on the defense. So that means that you were actually being rude, but I digress. So, um, Joe says she's giving you a compliment and you went straight to the defense. Instead of that, you should have just said thank you. And I was just like, y'all aren't about to gaslight her or me, because that was not said in a nice way. There was no way that that would have been said in a nice way. This is the first time that you've ever said anything genuine. And I actually, for a minute there, I believed you. That's not nothing nice. That's a backhanded ass compliment. And the fact that you and Joellen, Kelsey, and Liz were just like making it seem like Rosie was in the wrong for feeling that way pissed me off. So Ashley says, but saying that means Ashley then butts in and she says, well, saying that means she's never been honest. Um Rosie then says, I appreciate it. I'm glad you feel that way. And then Joe says, well, that was backhanded. And Liz was just like, we were so close. And it was just like, y'all tripping right now. Because what else was she supposed to say? Just like Kelsey shouldn't have said anything, Rosie shouldn't have said anything. Like, I don't understand why she has to be grateful for that backhanded ass compliment. And then when she turns around and is just like, I mean, thank you. I'm glad you feel that way. Y'all want to make it seem like she was being backhanded. How else was she supposed to say thank you to that backhanded ass compliment, but by a backhanded ass thank you? Like, I don't get it. Child. So Kelsey says in her confessional, she knows a BSer when she sees one. So we flash back to Rosie talking about her being a polygamist and then her not tagging her in IG. Um, Ashley says, y'all aren't giving Rosie enough grace. Um, yeah, y'all aren't giving Rosie enough grace, and there was a little sass in the air. And Joe says, well, the sass came from Rosie. So Ashley's in her confessional. She's she says, she got a crazy backhanded compliment. Um Child, I was so annoyed. I'm mixing up my notes, y'all. Sorry. So she's just telling them like, you made it seem like she's never been genuine before. And um, do you think she's always been lying? And Kelsey says, that's how I felt. So Ashley in her confessional was saying that Rosie told her that she didn't feel like she stuck up for her. And that she felt the way that Ashley didn't stick up for her when Kelsey was coming at her. And Kelsey's reaction to Rosie was so blatant that even she felt it. So she felt like she had to say something. So Kelsey is saying that she feels that Rosie is ingenuine. Rosie says she's sorry that she feels that way. So they all go to their rooms. Rosie and Ashley are in their room and they're talking about what happened. And we see Ellen and Kelsey. They're at the door listening in on them or whatever. So Kelsey is saying in her confessional, she had all that time to tell me that at the dinner, but she couldn't say it to my face. And I was just like, and she asked you a question that you couldn't say to her face at the dinner. So miss me with that. While you trying to make it seem like, oh, that girl is afraid of you. When she asked you a simple question, you couldn't even answer it. You try to make it seem like it was her. So girl, anyways, so she bust into the room and was just like, okay, so what was said? Um Kelsey says she doesn't think that Rosie is being honest, and Ashley is just like, well, be specific. What do you think she isn't being honest about? She says she's lying about how big her house is. She's lying about being fired. Rosie says, but I did have health conditions. I had colitis. And then in her confessional, she's just like, I don't understand. Why are you upset with me for rumors that have nothing to do with you? I went on medical leave because I couldn't stop bleeding out of my ass. Why would I tell anyone that when I can easily say I was fired? Which is true, because that ain't something that I would want to tell anybody. I mean, honestly, but girl, she told him. So Kelsey says she makes Ish up. Um, she makes Ish up, and she doesn't think that. Um, oh, she says she makes Ish up, and when you meet someone, she exaggerates things, and then she imitates her. Yeah, me and Rich are building an 8,000 square foot home, and Ashley's in her confessional. She's like, why does Kelsey care how big the house is? Which again, why do you care, Kelsey? Like, who cares? Even if her house was 8,000 square feet or 2,000 square feet, who gives a f? Your place that you stay ain't that big no more anyway. Like, I honestly don't get why you so pissed about that, child. Okay, so Rosie says we're adding 5,000 square feet to the house. We're adding 5,000 square feet to a house that is, and the house is 15,000 square feet. And Kelsey says it's 1,000. So you mad about 500,000? You're mad about 500 square feet being added on? Girl, it's not that. That's not that serious. It's really not that serious. So Rosie tells her, I'm sorry if it's not good enough answer for you. Ashley's in her confessional. And she says the way that Kelsey is delivering the accusations, she's so certain, but where is the proof? Kelsey says, where there's smoke, there's fire. Rosie says, just because the answer isn't what you want doesn't mean it's not true, and you can believe whatever you want. Kelsey says in her confessional, this is another act of Rosie's, the calm Rosie. She's always telling the truth, and she isn't buying anything that's coming out of her mouth. Kelsey tells Rosie she doesn't care about her Ish, to be honest. And Rosie says, well, it seems like you really do, and maybe you just didn't want to like me, and that's okay. Kelsey says you didn't want to like me either. And Rosie's in her confessional saying, Kelsey wants to discredit everything about me. You're attacking my house. You don't have one. You're attacking my relationship. And I was just like, when did she attack your relationship? But go off, girl. Um, but you don't have a husband. You're attacking my career. You've only had one for about a year. It's a lot easier for you to project things onto her so others won't talk about what's going on in your life. Rosie tells her, thank you for visiting us. There's a door. And she basically kicks him out her room. And Joellen and Kelsey leave, and I say Joellen and Kelsey are mean girls. So yeah, so that was the episode. Yeah, Kelsey, I don't like her. I'm sorry. I tried, but I really don't like her. She's really a mean girl, and it's not cute. It's just like, girl, you are really upset over something that ain't got no business to do with you. Let that girl exaggerate all she wants to. When the truth comes out, the truth's gonna come out. Why do you care? Like, why do you care that she's not being honest? If she's not being honest, the truth is gonna come out eventually. And you can just sit back and be like, see, I told you so. But why are you so fixated on what this girl is saying? It makes it look like you are picking on her. Like, it makes you look like a mean girl because you keep coming for her unwarranted, unprovoked. That girl didn't say nothing to you, and you just had to say a backhanded compliment to her. Same with Joellen. That lady didn't say nothing to you, and you telling her she looked like a stripper. She dressing like a stripper. Like, leave that girl alone. Like, it's like y'all are picking on her because she don't say nothing, and she's just gonna sit back and cry. That's what it seems like. That's why y'all picking on her, and it's just like, that's not cool. I don't like that. But yeah, that was the episode. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and turning on your post notifications so you'll know whenever I post. Get down in the comments. Tell me what you guys thought about this episode, and I will see you guys in the next one.